Like I managed to be a minute late today. Sorry about that. I'm still working on my punctuality. But today we are gonna go over like the most fascinating thing I have ever read about playing cards. But first, I want to talk a little bit again about yesterday's card of the day. At the end of the video every day, I draw a card of the day. Um, because, excuse me, I'm Rachel Hoyt. Thanks for joining me today. And I am doing research on tarot and playing cards. This awesome deck and awesome tarot journal were designed by me and have the meaning inscribed in them that I see in the cards. And so at the end of the day, every day, I draw a card and I will tell you the meaning that I know it to be because I created it. But then if you want to leave comments and thoughts in the comments section, I'm going to be sharing verses the following day that match the card or quotes, just sentiments to try and show the point of this channel is that there's a lot of commonality amongst the religions and spiritual beliefs, and I want to help us focus on those. And that is the kind of idea that I'm presenting in the Keep Your Enemies Closer. That's how I presented it at the end of the day yesterday, although usually I see this as a somewhat devious, not so kind card, shall we say. I thought it was pretty interesting that we drew it for the very first day of this show because it represents why I started this show. I want you to hear some scriptures that you may not have heard elsewhere every day and learn a little bit about playing cards, tarot, spirituality, and whatever other questions you leave for me in the comment section. I am your independent researcher. If you press like and subscribe and support me, then I will have the time to be able to give you the information that you want me to find for you. So I took our notes here yesterday in my awesome tarot journal, and I I just asked ChatGPT out of simplicity to tell me some scriptures from all the various religions that would speak to the idea of keep your friends close and your enemies closer, or how they might say something in opposition to that, but the similar idea. And as suspected, essentially all of the scriptures agree with the sentiment that I proposed at the end of the day, and the reason that this channel or this show now exists every morning, 7:07 a.m. So in the Bible, you will find in Leviticus, love your neighbor as yourself, and in Proverbs 20 to 21, the sentiment is essentially to kill them with kindness, to overcome your enemies by being so kind that they don't understand it and are drawn to the example that you are setting. And I apologize for paraphrasing those. I tended to read them, but I thought it was written in here, and it's not. So I did write the full verse down for the Dhammapada, verse 5 from Buddhism. Hatred is never appeased by hatred. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. Then we have the Metta Sutta, which is also Buddhist, and it encourages love towards all beings, your enemies, your friends, etc. In the Bhagavad Gita, for Hinduism, we find he who regards alike friends, companions, and enemies excels. So if your friends and your acquaintances and your enemies are all equal in your eyes, that will make you excel in the eyes of a Hindu. And also from the Bhagavad Gita, verse 12, 13, and 14, one who has no ill will to any being is dear to me. Fun that I'm having trouble reading my own handwriting, but I am trying to read through the camera. Okay. And then from the Quran, they say, repel evil with what is better. So, same idea that comes from the Bible, that you should transform your enemy by showing them God's character. Be the change you wish to see in the world. I believe that's Gandhi. I forgot to double check one of my favorite quotes. So, there you have it. Card of the day from yesterday. All of the scriptures and religions essentially agree we should be doing more of what I'm trying to lead you with here, which is exploring each other's ideas and looking for the commonalities rather than the differences, and seeking to love one another more than anything else. So, on that note, let's get into today's exciting reading. So, this is the Mystic Textbook, or the Magic of the Cards. And you can see down here that it was written and compiled under the authority of the Mystic Brotherhood by Olney H. Richmond, a Grand Master of the Inner Temple of the Ancient Order of the Magi. Yes, we're talking the Magi that came to visit Jesus the day he was born. That is the order of the Magi. At least those people believe they are following the religion that the Magi preached. And well, I really loved this dedication for this book. It says, I'm just going to read the bottom of it. Or actually, to all those who, having charity and kindness in their hearts and harmony in their souls, are willing to yield themselves to the work of regeneration and advancement, with that energy characteristic of true mystics. To those who have an affinity for the good, the pure, and the true, as well as the spiritual advancement and development which enables them to comprehend the mysteries of the infinite and majestic universe. To the faithful ones in the temple or court, faithful through fire, through water, through earth, through air, to the east, to the west, to the south, and to the north, with all and through all. This volume is respectfully dedicated to us. It's a very mystical way to dedicate the book, but point of reading it being that it was not just for the Magi. So I'm getting a little nervous with this candle. I'm going to move it back. So we're going to read a little bit of the Book of Thunders today. I wanted to give you a little preview. There is so much in here. The Joker and his value, spirit of the numbers. There's a section on number 9 specifically, defines the cards specifically, and I'll show you in a bit, millions of charts. But let's just get right into it. He starts his book by quoting Revelations. Revelations 10, 4, 10, and 11. And now he's going to say that this is how it should be translated. Now, I did check my Bible, and it essentially reads the same. They moved around like one word, but it's really no different. So, and when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, but I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things uttered by the 7 thunders, and write them not. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and devoured it. And to my taste it was sweet as honey. But as soon as I had devoured it, it became bitter unto my inside. And he said unto me, you must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So, key word being little book. They sealed the little book. Well, he's saying here, if you are able to read between the lines, you will comprehend that the little book that was capable of voicing the 7 thunders, that is, the voices of the 7 planets, was the one and only original test book of the original Brotherhood, Mystic Brotherhood. The test book that he's talking about is a deck of 52 playing cards. He's calling it a test book because he's going to go on and describe all of the tests that you can do, in his opinion, to prove the truths of the book. So, oh yeah, you're going to want to hear this. So, he says, did you or did anyone ever know of another book that was always made small enough to hold in the hand? At last the utterances of the little book, which was sealed for a time, are to be opened unto the gaze of men. At last its wonders are to be unfolded partially, that we may prophesy before many peoples. So he's saying that the deck of 52 playing cards, and what he's about to say, is the secrets of the universe. It's the book that they sealed. Here we go. No other book that has ever had an existence upon our planet has within itself the wonderful properties that are indubitably attached to this little book. No other book has been sealed with hidden emblematic meanings as to defy all attempts to open its pages. It is the oldest book known, and it existed long before the modern written languages were thought of. Its history extends so far back into the dim recesses of the past that we must perforce ask our readers to take circumstantial evidence as to its history and cases. So, I'm trying to keep this show to 20 minutes per morning, so I'm going to skip forward a bit here. He's going to go through and basically just say that, he thinks playing cards are older than anyone has said. And he's quoting down here Tarot of the Bohemians by Pappas, which I have also printed to go through. It has a million interesting charts and tries to teach you Kabbalah and how it coordinates with all of the cards. But what he's saying is that playing cards have, existed since long before tarot, and that tarot is the imposter. This is where he says it. The test book has been called by various names, among which the tarot cards appears in many ancient and modern works. Why they are tarot cards will be seen when we come to the tarot or magic appears square department. Many modern writers, however, have been misled by supposing that some of the many substitutes for the genuine book are the real tarot cards. That's how he's saying playing cards are the real tarot cards. The first tarot cards, the first book, the Mystic book. Now, here is where it gets really, really, really interesting. So, he says, he's quoting Pappas. Pappas says, the gypsies possess a Bible which has proved their means of gaining a livelihood, for it enables them to tell fortunes. Yes, the game of cards, called the tarot, which the gypsies possess, is the Bible of Bibles. It is the book of Thoth Hermes Trismegistus, the book of Adam, the book of primitive revelations of ancient civilizations. Thus, while the Freemasons, as intelligent and virtuous man, has lost the tradition, while the priest, also intelligent and virtuous, has lost his esotericism, the gypsy, although both ignorant and vicious, have given us the key which enables us to explain all the symbolism of all the ages. The work from which the above quotations are made was handed to me by a friend, and upon reading the headings of chapters, I was delighted, thinking that a feast was in store, for I found such headlines as the astronomic tarot, Egyptian astronomy, 4 seasons, blah, 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 blah. Do not be misled by any of these so-called occult works on the subject. They are very numerous and all quote and requote from one another, but is the old story of the blind leading the blind. And we can see without glasses, without all this dust stirring, behind all this dust stirring, the secret hand of the great enemy of our order and the enemy of science. So, the Egyptians were not the originators of the sacred text book. The only people that were ever so situated as to possess this knowledge and acquirements necessary for such a work lived long anterior to the Egyptians. That nation was the Atlanteans. The lost city of Atlantis is where he is saying that they came from. And he goes on for pages to describe why, and he tells us where the lost city of Atlantis is, and a bunch of correlations between the cards and the city, where the city of Atlantis is supposed to have been. But then we get into an even more important part, the religion of the stars. And so I'm already getting a little too wordy. Oh yeah, no, we have to read this. Okay. A religion based upon the stars of heaven, which men had gazed upon for thousands of years, was the most natural one that could be conceived. Their knowledge of the planetary system was very great, for they had, by patient labor and striving, and by prolonged observation and calculation, not only gained a large amount of knowledge, but they had, through their spiritual development, became possessed of means of gaining occult knowledge not attainable through the physical, even with the aid of the best instruments of modern times. Therefore, the ancient Magi taught a good, pure, scientific, and rational religion with symbolism of the grandest kind and a system of morals not surpassed by any modern system. Do you hear what he's saying there? He is saying that this deck of cards, right here, 52 cards, possesses all of the secrets and that it's a system of morals not surpassed by any modern system. So these symbols, he's saying, can teach us right and wrong and create morals stronger than any religion or scripture or system of modern times, being early 1900s. This book was first published in 1893. The one that I'm reading right now is the third printing, 1919. So, why does it start in the middle of a sentence? Interesting. Oh, because I'm starting IRs on the back. Okay. The world made a poor exchange when it accepted in lieu thereof a man-made religion of gods, devils, heavens, and hells, requiring an endless chain of rank absurdities to support structure. Any book written in a language other than symbolic must come in the course of time become nearly non-understandable. So he's saying this book written in symbols and, which you have to interpret, is actually easier for all people who speak all languages to understand than a written book with words, because the translation gets lost when you translate from, say, English to Spanish or English to Italian or Italian to Chinese. Every time you translate it, it's going to lose something, whereas any book written in a language of symbols is more universally understandable. So, any book written in a language other than symbolic must, in the course of time, become nearly non-understandable through changes of language and meaning of words. In my nothing to say nothing of loss through translations from translations. But symbols are the same in all languages and all tongues and among all peoples. The German maiden understands the meaning of a kiss and gives it the same interpretations as does the English or Spanish maiden. Thus, the heart is the emblem of love in the world over, the diamond the emblem of wealth. The ancient Magi understood this principle, and they also understood the deeper hidden principle that underlies all symbolism, that there is a spirit force back of everything that exists, that the spirit force or astral light of a symbolic thing becomes a fixed principle through the mind and spirit force of man, acting upon it for ages and ages. A materialist cannot understand this, for his mind cannot grasp the meaning of spirit or mind. When the writer was young, we'll skip that. So, yeah, basically he's saying we can understand this book better than anything else because it's a universal language. However, when I've lost the page for it, but at some point he basically says that it got locked up and the secrets were not meant to be revealed for quite some time. So I see I've already done 20 minutes today, so I'm just going to try and flip through some of these pages that I was pondering reading and see what more we need to do before we run. So we've established that he believes this is a test book that you can run tests on and prove the secrets of the world. He being Raymond Olney from the Order of the Magi, and he believes that playing cards were invented in the lost city of Atlantis and are the oldest book on the planet. So, down here, though, he's saying, at some point he said, and notice, here we go. Why is it that these characteristics appertaining to this book and to no other system in existence have been preserved in a world where everything else has changed? Why have not the engravers and printers changed them entirely out of their original form as they have everything else? It's so true. These symbols, these faces, everything about this deck has not changed. People will not have it, was his essential argument. I mean, we do have transformation decks where people put new faces on them and stuff now, so people will have it to some degree. But the most beloved deck, the one that's printed more than anywhere, is just plain old plain. And these symbols have not changed. You can put a little flair on them here or there, but they picked spades, clubs, hearts, and diamonds forever and ever and ever ago, and it hasn't changed. It's pretty interesting to think about. Now, skipping back to where he said there's a spirit and a soul in things, we're skipping forward to the next thing that he says about it that I found ridiculously fascinating. So, underneath the physical senses of mankind, there is a psychic recognition of the hidden things in nature. Those who think but very little of such matters apparently really recognize the principles of law and the manifestations of the soul in things. Hard-headed businessmen with no spiritual development that can be discerned recognize the reign of law and notice what is called luck, good and bad. If luck, so called, was not a state brought about through regularly acting laws, there could be no constancy to it. Instead of man's bad luck pursuing him hours, days, or weeks at a time, it should be just as likely to have splendid luck 1 minute and 1 minute after the worst kind. Although everything in nature exemplifies this law, there is no other thing that illustrates it to such a nicety as does our magic test book. Now that is fascinating to me because if you don't know, in my personal research, I am tracking where and when the luckiest, so-called luckiest and least lucky cards appear. So I think I better call it to a close for the most part today. Here's a peek at the jester and what he's going to say about that. I do recall one more very interesting not wanting to skip thing that I found. Ooh, more charts, previews. Make sure you press like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to learn more about the Mystic Test Book, because there's magic crosses in there. All kinds of interesting things that I did not get to yet today. There's the cool cross, the first book, test book cross of they call it. There's actually multiple cross patterns like that. We have another astrophrenological chart to explore, which he explains a bit for us. And yeah, more the cross of love. But ooh, magnetic shields. It's an ad for clothing that was supposed to, magnify, bring things to you. I can't believe nobody has made this. I'm really kind of upset about that. I want that. But this is what I was flipping forward to. Here we go. Here's the start of this part. Oh, I turned it over. Oopsie. Okay. To close, I will read to you from the Light for Terra, which is coming from the end of the supplement. There's actually two books, the Mystic Test Book and the Mystic Test Book Supplement. But this is explaining a little bit more of why he wrote all of this and who it was for. So, for thousands of years, the world has waited and longed for what they knew not. Predictions have been made and prophets have foretold that when certain signs should appear in the heavens, the day should be at hand when the planet should receive the light again. In other words, the sanctuary should be cleansed. The work should begin, which would in time fill the whole earth. Friends, the time has come as predicted, and we find the accompanying prediction verified, which says that on that day it should be lo here and lo there, and many false prophets and pretenders. Those who have followed the current news of the day know full well how literally this has been fulfilled. No less than 7 personages having been put forth claims to being the Christ within the past 7 years. 4 people put claims to being Christ within the past 7 years, he says, in, I don't know if he was saying it in early 1900s, okay? These pretenders forget that he was to come like a thief in the night, unheralded and unknown. The light is the Christ principle. God is love, and Christ is the light. Light and love unite to make heaven, which is a state of happiness. Readers, are you children of the light? If you are of us and with us, even though you cannot appear beneath the blue canopy of shining stars that spans the place above the altar of mysticism. Seek, and ye shall find. Which is interesting because yesterday I was talking about seek and ye shall find. So that's all I'm going to read to you from the Mystic Test Book for today. I hope you enjoyed that interesting read to your day. And again, let me know if you want to hear more. But before we go, let's get a card of the day for today. See what we need to know. Awesome deck. Please tell us what we need to know for today, April 21st. What advice do we need? course's advice applies to whatever day you find this video. Ooh, potential. Lots of potential. So pressure is on. Fire. We're under fire. But like a diamond, we have a lot of potential. Diamonds are born under pressure. And beggars can't be choosers. So if you are under pressure today, like me, then just know that it is pushing you towards your potential. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:07, with some scriptures and quotes to go with this, and another fun reading for the day. Hope you have an awesome day. Thanks so much for joining me.